Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out a brand new model I just got that is going into, and we're also going to check out these other knives, my top 5 favorite Polish knives. So we're going to check out all 5 of those, and I'm also going to show a couple other models from Poland that I really like. And no, they are not all HERMANs, but the new model that I have is the HERMAN MANTIS, and it is absolutely going into my top 5 favorite Polish knives. And this knife actually has 2 features on it that I think is the best of, at least from what I've tried, of all the HERMANs. And we'll talk about what those features are here in 1 second. Now, I do have to be honest. I am not a fan of the pattern. It looks, you know, I mean, to each their own. I think some people will love it. It's just not really my style. Now, I do love the color combinations. I love that. And, you know, it does look kind of cool, but it's just not my style. They did send it to me, so they did pick that out, which is fine. I mean, at least, you know, it might speak to somebody. But let's pop this sucker open. So we have an M398, and specifically we're talking about the knife, by the way, not just the pattern, because these knives come in so many different color options and patterns and different milling and so on. We have an M398 blade that has a stone sharpened edge, which you rarely see on any knives, a stone sharpened edge. So that's awesome. I believe he uses a TS Prof, or no, I believe he uses a Polish knife sharpener that's very similar to what you'd expect from like a TS Prof, I believe. Anyways, regardless, it's a fixed angle knife sharpening system. The finish, I'm not sure what this is called. Maybe they do say it on the site and I just haven't looked, but it is a unique type of finish. It's like, it's not like a regular blasted finish. It almost has like a deeper, I think it's a glass blasted finish maybe. That's got to be what it is. But M398, awesome steel. You can think of it as like a souped up M390 in a way. These guys, you know, so far from my experience, they do a good job with their heat treatment. However, I have not done a controlled test, but I do think we're going to wind up doing that. I think I'm going to do some of their M390 and just start there because I can at least compare it to other knife companies that use M390. But we have a titanium liner lock. And then the liner is screwed in from the inside. These clips have a pocket underneath, as you can see with this one because of the pattern. Sometimes it's hard to see that pocket. But that pocket makes it to where even my thick jeans slide super smoothly in and out of the pocket. The clips are phenomenal. Great titanium mill pocket clips. You can see how, if you use one, you can feel how good a milled titanium pocket clip can be. Now, one of the features that I think is done best on from any other HERMAN knife that I have is, one, the comfortability of the flipper tab. So some, and we're going to check out some other knives here in a second, some of the HERMANs they're a little bit pokey with the flipper tabs, and the detents, you know, now they're not all the same. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but they tend to have nice, strong detents, which I love. I absolutely love. But this one, because it's so comfortable, this is one where they could have put a really strong detent and it'll never hurt. Now it has I would say pretty much a perfect detent. It's not as strong as some of my other ones, but it's also not light at all. So, and you also have a ton of leverage that if you want to do a push button or a light switch, either one's going to be great. But even if I do a soft flip, it's going to flip. The flip's amazing. And then the drop, it is so smooth. Multi-row ceramic, or no, sorry, I think they're using carbide bearings now. So when you tighten the pivot, you don't want to crank down on it too hard because they are harder and a little bit more brittle than ceramic. I'm not sure why they switched. I think because the carbide are a little bit smoother. But anyways, it is ridiculously smooth, like very smooth. Complete guillotine action. Now, the next thing that I think is the best out of all HERMAN knives I've tried, these ergos. By far the most comfortable I've tried from any HERMAN. This is very comfortable. Super comfortable. Then you couple it with this geometry and the blade shape. This is a great user. Absolute banger when it comes to just you know, the comfort, the geometry, you know, the length, the size, all of that. It's great for me. Not everybody's going to like large knives like this, but I freaking dig it. I dig it big time. And like I said, I do like these color combos. You can see right there, you get the Mantis. And then what's really cool, check this out. You get a titanium certificate of authenticity, and it's got the number on there that matches, where is it? That matches the number on the knife. So you can verify it. And, you know, it tells you all the stuff. M398, 62 to 63 HRC. That's awesome to see. Love to see that. I have some other, that was my fault. I have some other M398 from another company. They did it like 58. Oh, it's so bad. It's not good at all. Not good at all. This should be really, really good. But, you know, I'd have to test it to truly find out. Now, again, man, this action is ridiculous. The ergonomics are amazing. The clip works great. Fit finish tolerances are all really, really well done. Now, let's, oh yeah, sharpen tool and plunge grind. Also, I'm happy with this one. Sometimes he does them a little small. This one's not bad because it's so thin behind the edge. You have plenty of sharpenings. I always prefer it to be as big as possible, and I wouldn't call this one a large one, but it works. Let's check out some other models that I freaking love. So, this, this detent on this thing. So I want to talk about the detent. So this is the Dragonfly. You hear that? Here in a second, I'm going to do some acoustics between these. So the Dragonfly, this is the biggest HERMAN that I have. And it is an absolute guillotine. This action is ridiculous. I do kind of wish that this one had a detent as strong as this one because of how comfortable the flipper tab is. This one's not uncomfortable. It's a little pokey, but it's not bad. It actually is rounded enough that it's not super pokey, but you can really build up a lot of pressure. I mean, this has a nice strong detent, and you can't fail it. You cannot fail this knife at all. This one I could fail if I wanted to, but you know, you have to really try. This one, you're not going to fail. Great geometry, especially for a robust knife. It's not too thick, but it's also not fragile. A nice thickness. And again, stone sharpened edge. Great access to the lock bar. Again, one of the best titanium mill pocket clips you can find. Lots of milling on the inside to bring down the weight. You can see the different color patterns, you know, that it has. So this is one of the other ones from the 5. Then we have the Ishtar. Freaking love the Ishtar. Like I said, they're not going to all be HERMANs, but, and I also am going to show, you know, some other knives. Anyways, the Ishtar. This one, I think, has the most unique detent out of all of them. And I do notice that HERMAN's knives, and I also love this pattern, by the way. I love this finish. This, it looks like Mars or something. Anyways, the HERMANs have a very unique action. And each one I try, all is a little different, right? I have a couple that are very similar. I've seen some of the Ishtars. They seem to have some consistency, but then I've seen some that don't. I would love to see HERMAN figure out whatever that is, whatever the best one is, and just rock with that across the board, if that's possible. Obviously, a smaller knife's going to have a different detent than a large knife. I don't mean like with every model. I'm talking about with each, I guess, yeah, with each model, like have all the versions of that model have a consistent detent. Hopefully, you know, be the same if that's possible, because I think if you can tune that, then you know that the other person's getting the same experience that you're getting. And because they are slightly different, that does make it to where you're not 100% positive. But 90% of all the ones I have are phenomenal. Now, this one has the most unique detent. If you just listen to it, listen to that pop. I mean, that's crazy. And when you think of, or when you fire this flipper tab off, there's no stopping this thing. And it's not even tuned extremely strong. It's just, it's like, it's at a strength where it's surprisingly, very, how can I say it? It's so satisfying. It's like one of the most satisfying flips I've ever tried on any knife. It's so unique and different. And it just, man, and then the ring, the acoustics, like I said, we're going to show that in a second. Then I have one more HERMAN. These are my top 4 favorite. We're going to do a couple more. This is my top 4 right here. This one is the Slim. Love the Slim. This one has the strongest detent of all my HERMANs. I mean, this thing, listen to this. You know what? Let's listen to some acoustics. We got to. But you can hear they all have the Herman sound, but they are all slightly different, but they all have a nice tune to them. It's almost like they're tuned to have a note. And I love that. I freaking love that. But not just the sound, the feeling of the action in the detent is just amazing. I mean, this thing, when I break the detent, it's like it cracks open. It's it's a very satisfying deployment, and I love that you hand somebody a knife like this. I hate when I hand somebody a knife and then I watch them do one of these numbers where they go like this, wah wah, and then you're like, just flip it hard. You know, I hate when that happens. And something like this, that is never ever gonna happen. Guaranteed. They might go like this and be like, you know, and then because this one's really strong. This one, so. This is the strongest, second strongest, third, and then, you know, then down the line, fourth. This is, but like I said, I have two slims, and one has a light detent. Now, that was a little shocking to me that that this one was so crispy, and that one was a little light. Now, don't get me wrong, it still flips amazing. It has great action, just nowhere near as strong as this one. Love the finish on this with the fake bolster. It has the same pattern as on the Ishtar. Titanium clip, again, you can see the milling patterns. Great access to the lock bar. Super duper smooth. The blade steel's M390 on this one, and then you can see it's got like a rock pattern. And then the I'm guessing glass blasted finish. Very thin geometry. I love this shape. I love the size. The ergos are phenomenal. Same thing with this one. Love the ergos. Love the blade shape. This one, I mean, oh my goodness, is this comfortable because it's so large. These things make me smile every time I flip them. I freaking love it. But now this one being the Mantis, I'm very happy to have it in the collection. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this pattern, but they have so many different flavors and options that not a big deal. And also, by the way, it's already done now. We just gave away a Herman to one of our members because we hit over 300K subscribers, and we do have a membership. If you guys are interested, you can, join the membership. We do knife sharpening there, and we do 2 giveaways a month. And somebody just won a damn Herman on there because, we wanted to make it a special giveaway. Now, what's another? I do have to pay homage to the B. Now, this is not my personal favorite model. It is a great model. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little small for me. However, I freaking love the design with the puzzle pieces, how each one is individual and it has its own color and pattern on it. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. I love the way he did this. It's amazing, the work that he put in this. And then with this damn steel blade that almost looks like flames, this thing is just spectacular on another level. I freaking dig it. I love it. But not my favorite model though, because I don't want to go off of finish and stuff like that, because any of these come in different finishes, different color options, different steels. So you know what I mean. But the B is definitely a beautiful piece, especially with this with the puzzle pattern, man. My goodness, is that gorgeous. What's the fifth one, right? What's the fifth one? The fifth one is actually a different company. This is from JK. This is the Integra. Now, this has some of the tightest tolerances I've experienced on a knife. I mean, it is just insane how fit everything is perfectly. And the blade, or sorry, the flipper tab on the blade is very small, but because of the detent, it's actually a really good action, like a phenomenal action. Then look at this drop. It almost feels like it's ghost-like. Like I feel no bearings. I feel no movement. All I feel is like the weight of the blade coming down. So, but it's almost like you don't even feel that until it clicks back in. So this has a very unique feeling as well. Something I love on my knives. Like one thing, yes, I love the ergonomics. I love the blades. I love the steels. That's what I dig the most. But then Followed up, I love action, man. I love having a satisfying action, especially when we're talking about premium knives and stuff. Anyways, the blade on this one is M390 steel with a hand satin finish. You can see that hand satin on there. Beautiful hand satin, great geometry. My one complaint and what makes this one sit so low, I do want to try one of his other ones because he does have one with like a, it's like a straight back or like a drop point blade chip that I do think looks really cool. It almost reminds me of a rock stud. But the access to the lock bar could be better. So that's the one complaint. He didn't chamfer this edge. He only chamfered this edge. You do have to come around the front. Now, it's not difficult, and this thing is so damn smooth. The detent is so early, you're always past it. But yeah, I wish there was better lock bar access. You know, and then some of them could use a little bit better choils, but most of them you're still gonna get at least a couple sharpenings in before anything, you know, happens. But man, look at that. Look at how tight that blade fits in there. Now, one other knife, I do have some more Hermans, by the way. These ones are just my favorite ones, and these are my favorite Polish custom knives. This is a knife I actually been testing, and it is a fixed blade. I'll put the maker on, or the name of the maker on the screen. I forget the maker, and I can't pronounce it to save my life. At least if I remember correctly, that's the way it was. I could be wrong now I think about it, but because I can't remember it at all. I feel so bad. The knife itself, though, we have O2 tool steel. We have a harpooned, I'm going to call it a straight back, a harpooned straight back with a recurve. And this is obviously because of the recurve and it being, you know, big out here on the top, it's going to be very front heavy, which helps you with chopping. So I've been doing a lot of chopping. I love the micarta scales. The ergos are perfect. The thickness is nice and robust, yet it's thin enough where you're going to be able to really get into some materials. I've been chopping down a bunch of trees with my nephew. I've been teaching my nephew, you know, a little bit about knives because he's at that age where, you know, you want to teach him how to use a knife. So I've been taking him out, you know, outside, and we've been, you know, cutting down sticks and trees and stuff. You know, eventually, you know, I'll be teaching him how to make traps and stuff like that. But I want to get to him being very comfortable with chopping trees down and just using a knife, right? So he had a little bit smaller one than this one, but this is the one I was using, and I did let him swing it, obviously. Now, one little issue that I have actually is I think this thing had a burnt edge, which is not going to be the best thing, right? That's definitely a negative. But I did get some pretty significant chipping or microchipping. I don't know what's going on with my camera right now. It seems fuzzy, but you can see there's chips in the edge. There's one right there. They're basically, there's quite a few of them. A lot of them are microchips, so you're not going to be able to see them. But I was a little surprised on that because that happened pretty early on. And I would have not expected it to happen through what I was chopping. So my thought process on that is just that it has to be a burnt edge. I doubt the heat treat's really bad, but it's possible, but I don't know. After I sharpen it and keep testing it, then I'll really know, because after I remove some steel from it, get into good steel, I'll be able to tell once I get into good steel. Because when you sharpen a burnt edge, one thing that happens is as you're sharpening it, you eventually get into good steel, and you can feel that. You can feel it when it happens. Basically, the stone, you can feel like grinding away at the steel. Then as soon as it gets into the really hard steel, or what would be the harder steel, it almost skates a little bit farther. Now, that might be a little bit more difficult with something like this because it is not going to be like a super high HRC, like, you know, like the folders, right? Folding knives, you know, they're more for edge retention. This is more for toughness. So it's probably on the lower side for HRC, which I would expect. But that's also why I would expect this thing not to chip and more, you know, roll, if anything. I don't even want it to do either one. This geometry should be just fine. It's thick geometry, but this does happen. This is a thing that can be very common between knives, especially when you handle so many knives and test so many knives. You're going to get some that have burnt edges. What is a burnt edge, really quick, just so I can clear that up? A burnt edge is after the heat treatment, you know, and everything, and they go to sharpen it, they are sharpening it on a belt. And when they sharpen on a belt, the belt's going really fast, and it probably throws sparks. I believe anytime you really see a belt moving and you see them sharpening it on a belt and you see sparks flying, 9 times out of 10, that's probably going to be a burnt edge. But You want to keep it nice and cool, and you never want the steel's edge, especially if it's thin. You don't want the steel's edge to ever go higher than what the steel is heat treated at, because if that happens, then it compromises the steel at the edge. Now, it's not the whole heat treatment, just at the edge. And the thinner it is, the more likely it is, to happen. And then the thicker it is, maybe the less likely, but if it does happen, typically it's not going to be too far up into the knife. So hopefully I'll be able to sharpen that out. But either way, I love the knife. And as of right now, before I really know about the heat treatment and everything, I think it's badass. And it's definitely something that I'm going to love and enjoy. And, and yeah, I'm going to have fun using it. And then the folding knives, which is what I love the most. I love me some folding knives. I mean, I love fixed blades too, but I just mean between these knives, definitely some of my favorites, period, let alone just from Poland. But shout out to Polish Custom Knives. Like I said, everything will be, man, my light is bright. Everything will be linked down in the description for you guys. So if you guys want to check out some Polish custom knives or anything else on Polish custom knives, because they do have other stuff besides just knives, work hard, stay tough. Till next time, peace.